conflict erupts in the Taiwan Strait. At the same time, Taiwan is strengthening its defenses with advanced rocket systems amid rising threats from Communist China. Here's more.
Taiwan's military began deploying armored trucks with one of its newest and most precise strike weapons on Saturday. The vehicles with HIMARS, high mobility artillery rocket systems, are taking part in intensifying drills meant to showcase the island's determination to resist any Chinese invasion. This occurs as the Pentagon is urging Japan and Australia to clarify what role they would play if the U.S. and China went to war over Taiwan, according to a Financial Times report on Saturday. Elbridge Colby, the U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, has been pushing the matter during recent talks with defense officials of both countries, the report said, citing people familiar with the discussions. According to the newspaper, the reported request caught Japan and Australia off guard, as the U.S. itself does not offer a blank check guarantee to defend Taiwan. Colby said in an X post that the Department of Defense is focused on implementing the president's agenda, which includes by urging the allies to step up their defense spending and other efforts related to our collective defense. China views democratically governed Taiwan as its own and has intensified military pressure around the island over the last 5 years, staging a string of intense war games and daily naval and air force patrols around the territory. Taiwan rejects China's sovereignty claims, with its president saying only Taiwan's people can decide their future.
Australia is making it clear it won't commit troops ahead of time if conflict breaks out over Taiwan. This comes as the U.S. presses its allies to define their roles in a potential conflict with China. Australian officials say the decision on military involvement will be made by the government when the time comes, not before. Let's take a closer look.
Happy to say that
Australia will not commit troops in advance to any conflict, the country's defense industry minister said on Sunday. Pat Conroy was responding to a Financial Times report that the United States has been pressing allies on what they would do if a conflict broke out over Taiwan.
One, we don't engage in hypotheticals, we don't discuss hypotheticals, but secondly, the decision to commit Australian troops to a conflict will be made by the government of the day, not in advance, but by the government of the day, and that's our position, and it's been long established.
China claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own and has not ruled out the use of force to bring the island under its control. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te rejects China's sovereignty claims, saying only Taiwan's people can decide their future. The U.S. does not offer a blank check guarantee to defend Taiwan, but it has been pushing allies to step up defense spending, saying it's part of President Donald Trump's America First agenda of restoring deterrence. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stressed on Sunday that his country was considerably increasing defense spending. He told reporters that Australia supports the status quo on Taiwan and is against any unilateral action there.
We want peace and security in our region. We don't want any change to the status quo. That's Australia's position today. That was Australia's position last week. That's been a bipartisan position for a long period of time.
Albanese was speaking in Shanghai at the start of a 6-day visit to China that's likely to focus on security and trade. He watched on as Tourism Australia and Trip.com Group signed a deal to promote Australia as a premier tourist destination for Chinese travelers.
Besides Australia, reports say the Pentagon is also pressing Japan to clarify its stance on defending Taiwan. Which U.S. allies might be next in line for Washington's attention, and where do they currently stand on China's growing threats? We start with Japan, one of the U.S.'s closest allies in Asia. In response to Pentagon calls for clarity, Japan's defense minister echoed similar comments to Australia's. He said Tokyo will provide its legally grounded response only if a conflict actually breaks out. Despite diplomatic uncertainty, Taiwan's security remains critical to Japan. Both lie along the so-called First Island chain. This concept is viewed as a strategic barrier, key to containing China's military expansion and limiting its access to the Pacific Ocean. The chain also controls vital sea lanes crucial to Japan's trade and energy supply. At the same time, the U.S. alliance is ramping up readiness in the Indo-Pacific. Last Friday, top military leaders from the U.S., Japan, and South Korea met in Seoul. reaffirming their commitment to deter threats from China and North Korea. Japan and South Korea together host nearly half of all U.S. troops stationed overseas. Another key U.S. ally is the Philippines. The U.S. and the Philippines are bound by a treaty to defend each other in the event of war. The Philippines frequently faces tensions with Beijing over territorial disputes. Those tensions escalated after the U.S. deployed its Typhoon mid-range missile system to northern Philippines last April. The system, equipped with Tomahawk missiles, has a range of about 1,000 miles, putting much of China's southeastern coast within range. Tomorrow, we'll check in on some of the U.S.'s biggest allies in Europe and see how they might respond if tensions over Taiwan spark conflict between the U.S. and China. As tensions rise, two largest ever warfighting drills are underway, one in Australia and another in Taiwan. Australia's exercises began Monday, with participating nations conducting joint coordination and testing battlefield readiness. More than 35,000 troops from 19 countries are taking part in Australia's drills over the next 3 weeks. That includes nations like the UK, Germany, France, and Asian neighbors of China, Japan, the Philippines, and South Korea. Pacific Island states strategically important to the U.S., Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and Tonga are also joining in. Chinese surveillance ships have monitored Australian naval exercises before. Australia's defense industry minister says China is expected to keep an eye on this round of drills too. And in Taiwan, the largest ever live fire drill is entering its second week. The island's military began deploying one of its newest and most precise strike weapons on Saturday. The drill aims to demonstrate Taiwan's resolve against any potential invasion from Communist China. Vehicles carrying advanced U.S. HIMARS rockets were seen near Taiwan's central coast, just about 90 miles away from China's shoreline. These rocket systems have been used extensively by Ukraine against Russian forces. Amid rising tensions in the Taiwan Strait, a supermarket in Taipei held an air raid evacuation drill last week. The drill took place during Taiwan's largest ever annual military exercises called Hanquang. Here's more.
With the sound of an air raid siren, staff at the store quickly directed customers to the basement for shelter. This is the local supermarket chain in Taiwan that held civil defense drills in 3 of its stores.
This drill is not only focused on air raids, but also on earthquakes. These are all situations we must be ready for. This training is designed to protect our employees as well as our customers.
In addition to evacuation guidance, the drill also included scenarios where the public became agitated or felt unwell, prompting personnel to calm tensions and provide basic first aid.
It's not just about the government's efforts, it's also about the civil society. Most of the Taiwanese people, I think, people all have the understanding that in the current circumstances, especially regarding all these different threats or different challenges or risks we face, I think we need to be more prepared in any kind of situation.
China has intensified military pressure around Taiwan over the past 5 years. To strengthen civil defense and disaster readiness, Taiwan's government has also called on more private companies to take part in the drills. Reporting from Taiwan, Joy Chu, NTG News.
Hi, Mom. If it wasn't for you and your study habits, I wouldn't be here today.
我们今天一共谈了3个问题。第一个问题就是美国负责安全国防政策的副部长Kobe 提出了，而且要求印太地区的美国的盟友对于极有可能发生的台海战争，能不能做出一个明确预先的表态啊？那么这里头表态是否获得并不是很重要，但是反映出了美国的印太战略已经进行的一种从过去被动式的防御到主动式的求胜的这样一种战略的转型。这个转型的一个基本的战略概念叫做单一战区安全互动。我认为这个方式能够统合印太地区所有的美盟的国家一起来对付中共在这个地区的扩张啊。那么第二个问题，我们谈到过去我们常讲中国威胁论。 现在已经不是一个理论上的假设，或者是一个对未来的一种想象，它已经成为一种进行中的既成的事实。我们从这一次细部的去分析日本所提出来的2025年的防卫白皮书的内容，我们进行内容的分析和解读，就可以看得出来，不仅是日本把中共当作是有史以来最大的一个威胁的对象，同时呢，它也表明呼应了 L.B. Kobe 所讲的单一战区安全互动的这样的观念啊。所以我把它称之为超国家的一个战区防御的设计，不是每个国家只管自己的自我防卫，也必须要产生安全的联动，协助其他区域内的具有共同价值的国家协同集体作战。那么最后我谈到就是为什么这一次川普峰回路转的要对普京发出最后的通牒，它的内容我们刚刚已经讲得很清楚，包括限令50天普京必须要停火，另外要重新武装这个乌克兰，来打赢俄罗斯。最后就是说，如果你不遵守这样的规定的话，我要么就打你10%的一些涉及的国家，或者是500%的其他与俄罗斯有联络的一些相关的国家啊。所以我们认为，希望就是说这一次。川普能够彻底看清了普京的虚假和他的诈骗，那么真真实实能够援助乌克兰，那么打一场这个光荣的一个胜利。我始终认为，俄乌战争的结束必须是以俄罗斯战败为前提，不能够牺牲任何一个被侵略者的利益。